We're on question 77 in our notes, which is our next key concept number 7. This says the molecules of a system will transfer energy until the system reaches a stable state known as equilibrium, in which all of the molecules are moving at about the same speed. So pause, copy this down for question 77. So let's look at stable state for a couple systems. If we have a warm cup of water sitting in a cold room, over time, the water will cool down and the room will warm up until they reach the same temperature. The water might cool down a lot and the cold room might warm up a tiny little bit because there's so much air, but both will come until they're at the same temperature. Now, if you put an ice cube on a counter, over time the ice cube is going to melt and warm up. So the ice cube is going to increase in temperature and the countertop will actually get colder. It'll decrease in temperature. This will warm up, this will cool down until they reach the same temperature, and then they'll be in equilibrium. If you turn off the heater in a house, over time the house is going to cool down, the outside environment is going to warm up, and they're going to shift until they have the same temperature, and then it's not going to change very much after that. So remember, we are trying to answer a concerned parent. This parent is worried that the groundwater system will not have enough energy to heat the school. If the school is too cold, the students will not be able to focus on learning. So you need to get one of these modeling activities. The modeling activity shows the air in the morning and the water in the morning. And then after they sit and come in contact all day long, they should reach equilibrium, where we have 6 molecules up here, 6 molecules down here. If they're at equilibrium, they should be the same temperature. So it should be halfway between 5 and 1, so our molecules should be at a temperature of 3. If they're at equilibrium, we no longer have any energy transfer, so put an X in here. And then before they go into equilibrium, there is energy transfer. There's energy going from the warm water into the air, so you need to draw an arrow there pointing up. All right, for 78 and 79 in your notes, you don't need to go to Amplify to answer this. Just answer it in your guided notes. Use this modeling tool to explain to Mr. Lee, to respond to his letter, to explain why the groundwater system could be used to heat the air in the school. And then explain what would happen to the air temperature at the school if the groundwater system were used. Use the term stability and change in your explanation. Question 80. Which system do you now think is going to work the best with what we've learned in Chapter 2, and why? Last little bit is our anticipation question. We did this at the start of the unit. Do you agree or disagree? When something is heated up, energy is created, and when something cools down, energy is destroyed. If you disagree, how would you make or revise the statement to make it more correct? We know this is now false, so what would we change? I would say something along the lines of when something is heated up, it gains energy from its surrounding. When something cools down, it gives up its energy to its surroundings. All right, last thing is the critical juncture assessment. This is in Google Classroom. 4 of the questions on this critical juncture you've actually not learned the content for because they are in Chapter 3. Therefore, we will be scoring this out of 8 instead of 12. You need to get at least an 8 out of 12 on the critical juncture to get a full 8 out of 8 points in the grade book. Any extra points you will get as extra credit. Check Google Classroom for a link to the Edpuzzle videos. Watch the videos and retake the critical juncture until you get at least an 8 out of 8. Just a note, the answer options change each time you take the critical juncture, so memorizing option A, B, C, or D won't work. You need to actually pay attention to the answers and not the letters. We've had students that are just like, number 3 is always A, and then they miss it because the A changes to B. They reorder them, so you need to pay attention to our videos, not just memorize the answers.